And on today's show, why QLAC could change retirement planning. Part one of this week's series on the impact of QLAC and emerging insurance products on retirement, with nationally recognized annuity expert, Mike McLaughlin. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Insmark. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Mike.
Great to be here, Steve.
Well, we're talking to everybody. I mean, this is all over the web, QLAC. Give me the actual, what's the acronym stand for, and let's walk through some of the basics.
QLAC stands for Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. It was just under some U.S. Treasury regulations that were put out on July the 2nd. So this is all new information. This is a great opportunity for producers to go out to their clients and have really meaningful conversations. We just left our top annuity producers conference last week, Steve, and really only about 20% of the producers knew about this. So this is something that is a great opportunity for life producers.
When you introduced it to the attendees, was there a lot of excitement?
A lot of buzz, both on our Life Summit and our Annuity Summit, because it's new. You know, think about it this way. U.S. Treasury and IRS has never really been too friendly to a lot of financial planning aspects, but this is a great opportunity, especially if you're selling fixed annuities. When you take a look at the IRA market as a whole, it's about $6.3 trillion right now. The life insurance industry only has about $412 billion of that. When you think $412 billion, that's a big number. But that only represents less than 7% of all of the IRAs in the U.S. right now. So this is a great opportunity to look to some of those mutual fund IRAs, to some of those variable annuity IRAs, and talk to your clients about locking in an income. And the only thing that's available for this QLAC is a fixed deferred income annuity.
Okay, now let's just talk about that for a second. Why is the IRS, because this is going to affect RMDs, why did the IRS, you think in your best hunch, why did they legislate this?
Well, I think that there's a huge concern about the impact of Social Security, Social Security is supposedly going to be bankrupt by 2033 and start dipping into other assets. There's a great concern in Congress about how do we make sure that American standard of living continues on and on. And the QLAC is a great opportunity to protect that income long term.
Now I'm looking at some of the qualified plans that we could use for this, right? So we're looking at, of course, 401A, 401Ks, 403Bs, government 457Bs, and individual retirement accounts. So looks like ERISA is completely represented here.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you have some concerns here with some of the plan documents, but I think that the biggest impact right now is individual retirement accounts. A lot of carriers are starting to look at QLAC-friendly policies. There are some specific language that has to be put in place, but the reality is that those will all be put in place most likely sometime in November, so I would have no hesitation about bringing this out to clients right now.
Well, I noticed, interesting, Roth accounts aren't eligible, inherited IRAs. Now, give me a little bit about that, because I always thought that an IRA inherited was an IRA, but apparently not.
Well, let's think about it, because those incomes are already going, so that if my father passed his income down to me, then I've got to maintain his life expectancy. Well, the reality is that you really can't stop that RMD. This is really put into place for planning. So this is a great opportunity to get into younger classifications of ages, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 45, which later on this week we're going to talk about how to use life insurance in the retirement planning process. This whole QLAC opens up a brand new opportunity to talk about retirement income and alternative ways to do income as well. One important thing here with pension plan, the pension plan documents, that's going to be tough to change just because of all the cost associated with that. So that'll probably be one of the last things, in my opinion, that will change. So I think your real opportunity is individual retirement accounts and those defined contribution plans where at age 55 or for those plans that have in-service withdrawals to take that money out, do a rollover, then you control your asset, and then that way that you can control that distribution into some of the QLAC-friendly contracts.
Now I noticed that if you're already taking RMDs that also is excluded from this idea.
Exactly. That's accounts that are currently in RMDs. So let's take a look and think about how you position some of your RMDs. So maybe you had 4 or 5 different RMD friendly accounts, but you're actually taking your RMDs off the lowest earning IRA, and you're letting your mutual fund or your variable annuity really accumulate. So even though that you're taking your RMDs off that entire account balance, this one account hasn't been touched by RMDs or not taking RMDs, so you'd be able to do a QLAC off of those accounts.
When I'm looking at this is a huge opportunity. Now, I noticed that there's some restrictions. We're going to get into that in the second segment, talk about how much we can do, what's the number, what are the restrictions involved. But really, this is going to open up a whole new retirement timeline thinking. I think it's going to change the way we do, I would say, for most of middle America.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I say, it's going to get into younger people, which gets into the opportunity of not only thinking about income, but assets, but think about how are you going to protect that long-term income. That's where you need to change the conversation from assets to income.
When we come back on the second break, we're going to go through this again and really walk you through some of the QLAC basics, because this could be a game changer, not only for middle America, but for your practice. We'll be right back. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to the second segment. We're with Mike McLaughlin. We're talking about this new QLAC, unbelievable opportunity. Let's walk through the basics and walk us through what this applies to, and then I want to hear your rendition of what's the target market here.
Sure. Well, here are the specifics of QLAC. First of all, you can defer up to 25% of the account balance or up to $125,000, whichever is larger. Now, the $125,000 applies to all plans and IRAs collectively. So,
okay, can I ask you a question
sure.
on that then? Okay, so I have, let's say I'm a decent size IRA, maybe $500,000, $1 million. I couldn't segregate 125 of that number specifically to delay for RMDs, and it will not affect my calculation.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so that, again, this is just like you're doing your normal RMD. You're going to bucket up all of your qualified accounts that you have to take RMDs. You're going to add them up. Whatever that number is, 25% or a maximum of $125,000. Okay?
So I'm thinking in my head, many advisors, once they understand this and they watch the show and really get the drama of this, this is going to be a huge tactical play, because we're delaying things and there's tax issues here and cash flow issues. So this is huge. So 125 is my cap, or 25% of the total. And when you looked at this, how many players are kind of walking in this? Because this is so new. I think the carriers aren't even on the street with this stuff yet.
Yeah, this is, I won't say that it caught the carriers by surprise, because they had been talking with the U.S. Treasury for months about this, but you really can't make specific contractual language until you actually see the U.S. final regulations. And so they're scrambling to get all of those, because the other part of this is that when you make your purchase, you have to make the intention and you have to check the box on the application that you're intending this to be QLAC. If not, then the premiums will be included in the RMD.
Okay, well, let me walk you through that. Okay, so I have let's just do the easy one first. I have IRAs, and I've looked at the number of my total. Now, do I have to think about my total today or my total when I hit 70 and a half?
No, what you're going to take a look at is just think about how you would normally do your RMDs. It's the 12/31 previous year's account value. And so whether you're 60, 65, or 70, you're going to look at the previous year's 12/31 account value, and then that's the amount that you take either 25% or $125,000 of. All right?
Okay, so when I do that, that's going to change. I would have to say that if you're really a schooled retirement advisor, this is going to change almost every plan that you've touched, especially with affluent Americans.
Yeah. Now, one other thing that I think that you need to be cognizant of is, let's say that you start doing a QLAC at age 60, and then you leave the other 75% in an equity-based mutual fund or stock portfolio. And by the time that client reaches age 70, that's grown quite a bit over that 10-year period, which we would all hope that the equity markets would do. Then at age 70, you can peel off another amount to equal 25% of the total account value, because what you've actually done is you've frozen that $125,000 indefinitely. So this is an opportunity to go back to your clients multiple times and then begin the laddering process for the deferred income annuities.
Mike, what does this QLAC annuity look like? Is it like a SPIA? Is it like a DIA? What is it?
It is a DIA. It's just it's a deferred income annuity with just special contractual language put into it. So it just needs to be irrevocable. There are certain death benefits that we have to adhere to, but for the most part, it is deferred income annuity. You can defer it out all the way to age 85 and 1 month. How they come up with that, only the IRS can figure that out. But you can do it at age 70, 75, 80, 85 in 1 month. It's a great opportunity to ladder it out so that you have income and inflation protection on down the line.
Mike, just to make sure we're clear, I think most of our audience knows what a SPIA is, and I think they know what GLWBs on indexed annuities are, for example. Just walk me through the basics of a DIA in case our audience isn't familiar with it.
A DIA is a contract that you put in, let's just say $125,000 at age 65, and then you're going to choose when you're going to essentially annuitize that contract. So if you choose at age 75, you're going to receive lifetime benefits or whatever the payout selection that you've chosen, whether it be life in 20, life in 20, or life in 10, life with cash refund. Any of those different payment options are all available as long as you have some type of life contingency, because you're dealing with qualified money. But you're essentially annuitized that particular part of the contract.
Well, most of the people that I talk to, and I used to look at the Google traffic on DIAs, and most people are still kind of new to that idea. They're saying, I didn't even know there was a deferred income annuity. This is going to highlight DIAs like never before. And I think I'm going to have to take a trip out to CanEx and see who's the players here between the SPIAs, DIAs, and GLWBs, because if you're using QLAC with a DIA, you could be introduced to a brand new annuity with a brand new wrapper using QLAC.
Absolutely.
So before we break for the show, I'm just curious, who do you see as players coming into this market, our carriers? We know people are already coming out pretty soon here, so who's playing?
We know that AIG is coming out with a particular language. They were very close with the U.S. government in making those QLAC-friendly language. We also know that Principal's a player in the DIA market, Symetra's a player in the DIA market, so those will be really quick followers here by year end.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just go out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.